What's going on, guys? Here with another deck profile for you guys here today. Today we got Dr. Lightsy and Hatchhyack. Really good black deck in this meta. Not a lot of people actually play this anymore. It got a good few wins in a couple regionals ago, but I still think it's a really good deck despite the recent format now with all these unisons being played with green cooler and everything. I still think it's really nice. It's a good stall deck if you're looking to play it more of a control style way. And I still think it has really good potential to do good in even more recent events. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the permanent right here. The permanent says you can the errata this permanent so that you can only play non-black battle cards. That being said, that means technically speaking you can't play the token negates when you use it to take a life instead. Actually, I think that's wrong because the auto right here says you can't swing with tokens or battle cards, so obviously you can play the tokens in this deck, but with recent erratas and everything, I think that's wrong. But we'll get into his activate main. You put one underneath the leader, you put one in your drop area, and you draw one card. Your awaken is having 3 cards underneath it and flipping it over and drawing 1 card. So for 3 turns, you're kind of just sitting there with cards in your hand and not much to do. But then that's when you flip over to the backside. That's when it starts getting a little better. Same permanent. Can't play non-black battle cards. Auto stays the same. You can't swing with anything 7 cost or less after the first swing with the battle card. So if you have 8 drops, you're cool, but anything less, only swing 1 time. And then auto, when he swings, you draw 1 against 5k for the turn. Really solid, really simple, really good deck. Let's get started with the turn 1 play you want. With these Kais, these blocker Kais. Turn 1, nothing else to do. You play her out, blocker, tap 1, you draw 1. Just real simple, easy. Really good way to just they swing with their battle card, block it, and then that's the last battle card swing for the turn. And they swing later, you take it. It's not too much of a big deal, and that's the whole turn. So really good turn 1 play. Just getting that real simple. Getting early into the unisons right here. I play 4 of the Bardock. Really good unison in this deck. It's another draw power. It's a +1, draw 1 card. And his -2 is every time your opponent would swing with the battle card, they have to warp 1 from their hand. Really good for floodgating your opponent if they have low cards in hand. That also is good with his Spirit Boost, or excuse me, his auto when you Spirit Boost. When you Spirit Boost, you can send 1 battle card to the warp. So it really comes into conjunction altogether, works really well. And he's a 15k swing. If you can swing with your leader, you can swing with him, you draw 1. You draw 2 a turn. Really solid. You could do this turn 2, turn 3, whichever one feels better. I personally do on turn 3, just to have an energy up to negate something that they play that next turn. Here's getting to the battle cards. We have the Migra. Really solid early turn 3. Same thing, turn 2, turn 3. Either one is fine. You can overwhelm him or dark overwhelm for 2. When he's played, you draw 1 and you warp something from your opponent's board. So it's good board removal. You draw a card and it's a 30k swing. So it gets value from its overwhelm and its tap 2. And then when he swings, your opponent sends 1 card from their hand to the warp. So really good card to start off early. It's 30k beat stick that warps your opponent's hand. Just overall really solid card, and that I feel like most black decks should play. And it's overall really solid for what it does and how much it costs to play. Next one, kind of more of a filter card, another 15k swing. You overwhelm them for 3, and you just filter your hand a little bit. You warp 1 from your hand. Well, you draw 2 first, and then you warp 1 from your hand. Just really good filter, and it's a 15k swing, so he's overall good for what he does and his value for as well. Next, we got the Trunks from Realm of the Gods. Really solid card too. And it's a dual attack, so you get around your leader's auto. When he swings, you put 3 cards back from your warp into your drop. This sets up for later for your big play on turn 5. if you need to do that, because you overwhelm a lot in this deck, so you need to put cards back into your drop for the 8-drop Gogeta. He's moved from the battle area, he gets moved from the game, so kind of like an SCR, sort of. You can play him out for 2 if you have 8 or more battle cards, or excuse me, 8 or more cards in your warp, and you play him out for 2 from your warp. So, using the trunks, you just send him to your warp, and then you play him the next turn for 2. Really solid play. Next we have King Vegeta, Kingdom Lost. Really solid card for 2 as well. He's a 19k barrier with double strike. And when he's played, you can choose to snipe something from your opponent's hand and send it to the warp, or choose one of their battle cards and send it to the warp. Just overall really solid. When he's in rest mode, if your opponent were to swing at your leader card with anything, they have to warp one from their hand. So that's even more warping, more removal. And then just really solid 19k double, so you can just swing 19k double early on. And just, again, solid. Hard to remove. The one of thwarting, everyone knows what this card does. Tap 1, fuse from the warp with a Goku and a Vegeta. 25k double strike, and it's warp something from your opponent's board. Really solid, just really good card. Next, don't make fun of me, but I run 3 kinds of different Vegetas. I can't afford 3 Fang Greetings, so I have 1. But I played this one just because for its overarm. You tap 1 and it kills everything, adding up to 4 on your opponent's board. Fang Greeting, warp something from your opponent's hand when it's played with overarm. And this one just for another target for the Gogeta. I run 3. 3 is fine in this. You don't really need more than 3. That goes into pairing with this Goku. We run 4 of. You want 4 because you want to be able to see a lot of battle cards from your warp added back into your hand so that you can play them again. So this adds anything from 3 to 7, so you can add basically almost every single battle card you play in this deck. You can add back the Vegeta, you can add back Thwarting, you can add back the Demigra. There's a lot you can add back with this card. He's really solid, and he's a 30k beat stick again, just for the turn. So he's really good if you just need an extra swing and add something back to your hand. And another really good card. I played 1 of the Brainwash No More Mass Saiyan. Really good for when your opponent's going for game with, say, with like a quad or a triple strike, one of those 2. Only play 1, really only need 1, because you're only going to resolve it once. He also has an overarm that not really anyone plays. His overarm is actually, when this card is played using overarm, place up to 3 black battle cards from your warp into your drop area. So kind of like another Trunks in a way, but honestly, you're not really using the overarm to swing him. You're really only using it for activate battle to tap 1 black and crit a life and take no damage for the battle. That's really all you do with him. 1 of the Devilish Dominator. Now, not many Hatch profiles I see use this card. They mainly side this. I feel like he's really good main deck just because of his pseudo dual attack. When you have 10 or more cards in your opponent's warp, he restands during battle, and he's a 25k triple, and he's really, really good. So if you have the Gogeta out and you have this guy out, it's really hard to get past him. Really hard to get through all those swings. Essentially, have 5 swings a turn if you sequence it right. If your opponent were to activate counter during this card's battle, you have to essentially crit a life and send it to warp, and he still gets to restand either way. So if you don't counter, he still has to swing again, and if you don't, you're just taking a 25k triple strike twice. Really good. This one, another really good card. Again, I see this mainly in sideboard for Hatch profiles. I feel like this is a really good main, just because of his ability to just stall out your opponent, being able to block twice, and when you activate Spear Boost, you can Spear Boost 1 from your Unison. You can activate any extra card with Activate Main/Battle from your hand for free, and he's also a double strike, blocker with deflect and barrier, so he's not leaving the board. He's hitting the board, and he's really hard to get rid of. He also mills your opponent when you activate the activate main. Just solid stall card. If you're going late game and you're not killing each other, you're just kind of looking at each other. Really good card to just sit on and mill your opponent out a little bit. Now this is where you play these guys towards the end of the game, like turn 5, turn 6, if you're struggling to find pieces. Really solid card, 35k triple attack, blocker. We attack. Your opponent sends 2 from the warp, or excuse me, 2 battle cards from the battle area to the warp, and 2 cards from their hand. Just solid for what it's worth. Tap 4 to play it by sending a Goku and a Vegeta. Excuse me, Xeno Gogeta, Xeno Goku, and a Xeno Vegeta from your warp, or from your warp to your drop, or drop to your warp. One of those two. Again, really solid card.
Drop to warp.
Drop to warp, yeah. So it's drop to warp, and then swing 3 times, restands at the end of turn, blocker. Can't be KO'd while it's in rest mode, just solid. And then, last 2 little pieces, this filter cards. You tap 1, you send this card from your drop area to your warp. You discard 1 and draw 2. This more filter. You can, if you're struggling fighting cards, you can put this guy back using the trunks, and just do it again the next turn after you've done it already. Because you can't activate this twice in 1 turn. So you have to do it in 1 turn, the next turn back. So really good card if you're just struggling to find cards. Really good filter. And let's get into the ways you're going to stall your opponent out in order to get to your big Gogeta. You play 4 of these Gokus. 1-drop Gokus. Very simple. Negate the attack and play this card. People will try and counterplay this, and for some reason, I'm not sure why, it still negates the attack. And honestly, sometimes you want this in your drop to get pieces for that Gogeta. And then you play 4 Power Bursts. So Power Burst, add back the Goku, add that Goku back to your hand, negate again. Really solid. So you just negate with the Goku, combo it off, take the swing, use Power Burst again, add back the Goku, and negate again with the Goku. It frustrates your opponents, and it's a really good stall. You essentially have 12 negates just using these 8 cards. It's really, really just annoying for your opponent to get through. Next, play a little 2 of these minus energy balls. Activate these for free if you have a black unison out. Warp something 15k or less, ignoring barrier. So your opponent's playing like GT Goku, and they're swinging with one of their Trunks or Gokus. You just activate this for free, warp it, and you're done. You're safe. Really good, really solid for this meta. Next, Petrification. Arguably one of the best negates in the game, I feel. It just stops it stops SCRs, stops everything, any big swing. It's essentially that food that got banned recently. What was it called?
Foo Shrouded Mystery.
Foo Shrouded, there you go. It's called Foo, so it's basically a Foo Shrouded in a negate. It ignores barrier, so if you're swinging something with barrier and it's an issue card, just petrify it. It can't attack, can't be comboed off, and it can't activate skills, basically. So if they swing something big, let's say the GT Trio 8-drop with a 30k triple attack, you just petrify it. It restands, but you won't be able to attack, and it can't activate main to sneak it away under the unison to keep it safe, and you just blow it up with something next turn. Really good card. Honestly, one of the best negates in the game, in my opinion. Next comes the token negates. Now, same thing, like I said earlier, I feel like this is wrong. I feel like you can play the tokens after negating with it. This is up to just judge calls and how they want to rule the game. It's just really simple, real basic, just your normal token negates. Another way to stall your opponent out. Next we have these Kais. These Kais will be live every game because you have, well, your opponent's gonna have at least 6 cards in the warp by like turn 3, 4. So these are live even like before then because it's only a 3 cost. So if you have 2 in there at least, then this is essentially free. Again, you negate the attack and play this card, and if you played it using the counterattack ability, you get to warp something from your opponent's area or battle area, not ignoring barrier, but it'll get warped and sent back to their battle area at the end of the turn with their skills negated. So a really good way to just stall off any big swings again. And you can combo it off as well. That's another combo piece if you need it. Super combos, Vegeta's, bottom deck 1, draw 2, get 10k. Everyone knows what these do. The Trunks for Around with the Gods, really good in my opinion, just because it's a tap 1, you get 10k for just right off the bat, and then offensively you can warp something from your opponent's battle area of the greater cost in their energy, or defensively you can get 10k, draw a card, and burst 3 from the top of your deck. You're not really using that secondary effect of bursting 3, you're really just using it for the draw 1 and 10k early turns. Just another nice little way to draw cards and get nice stall. This was originally at 3, but I took it out to make room for the Cinchen ones. So, but again, still really solid, really good. And then, last but not least, is the Kai SCR. Broken, honestly. Play it, activate battle, tap 1, play it out, and they can't swing up looted cards or unisons for the turn. So, a really good way to stop Green Cooler, stops them from swinging the big Frieza triple strike at you. And even if they did, you just negate it. And really, really, really solid in this deck. Activate main, send this card to your warp, and it gets removed from the game, and you blow up your entire opponent's board. Doesn't ignore barrier, but being able to get rid of Frieza's and the DT Goku spaceship, really solid. Really good way to stop that engine from going, just because they require that spaceship to play their battle cards, and it's really hard for them to set up again. And yeah, guys, that was the deck profile.